Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with another Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in. And a spot the mistake. We got another spot the mistake. Let's take a look at this battle. I'm going to pause it just for a moment. We are on a west field, and I have spawned onto the top. I'm on the west side, but up on the top. And this is a strange map in that you have two very different spawn points, and there aren't a whole lot of maps like this one, other than I suppose the assault map. What's the one where you go on two sides of the hill? I can't remember what it's called, but it's not an assault map. This is a basic standard game map mode, I guess. And we spawned up on the top, and you've got a bunch of guys. Usually your mediums and your lights are down below, and your heavies and whatnot are up top. The problem is when you don't have a lot of heavies, you got a big mix of mediums, and the mediums happen to be at the top, and scouts, they often tend to be spawning down at the bottom. Now, I've talked a lot about how the critical terrain is up here in the northwest. But this is a spot and mistake, and I'm just going to leave it at that for now. So take a look at the deployment, and I want you to start thinking about how you feel about it. See where people are going. Obviously, see what I'm doing. I typed something in there. Interesting that I typed something in there, but I don't have enough self-awareness to do something about it. So let's see what happens on spot the mistake. Ooh, look at 50T. There's a mistake. Well, geez, that guy's just raging, and I should be able to get him, and I wish I had not stopped. I should have just come up as fast as possible, do this, and get back. Probably would have got that shot off earlier, but that's all right. We're hammering the 50T and, of course, the artillery. So one of the problems with this map, Westfield, and this position with 3 artillery is you often get stuff like that going on. But we take down the 50T, who completely lost his mind, and that's actually all right. Things seem okay, at least for the moment. Black Prince is going to make a crossing right there, which is interesting. Their T10 is up here, so he's my counterpart on the enemy team. Myself and the T10 being the 2 top dog heavies. And when I spawned into this and saw that I was top of the 357 on Westfield with a heavy, I said, wow, pretty good depression on this tank too. I should have a pretty good game. There I get 426. HE dropped on me. And why is that? Why am I getting hit by artillery? Other than the fact that I'm in an open spot and spotted. What are some of the other factors of me getting kind of focused by these artillery up here? Think about that for a minute. Now the Patton's got good spotting. The Black Prince has now gone around that corner and not been hammered, right? So he goes, wow, I went all the way around there and didn't find any TDs hitting me. Okay, there's an AT, T25AT. There's a near dead KV3, and there's me. There's the lightweight, who's about dead. And that's about it. So their tier 9 medium has come up top. Whether he spawned up top or just drove up, I don't know. And their tier 9 heavy is up top. And as I get spotted, I'm getting blasted by artillery. I come around to try to help the lightweight, but he dies, and I think, well, I should be able to handle this Patton. Except that he's still got me on hit points, and he just drops another 350. And then I get hammered by the T10 from behind, and I am down to a 2-shot to the Patton, and thank goodness he missed that shot. Put a shot into his turret, back up. He knows he's got a chance to come in and get a shot on me. Don't quite avoid it. 360, I'll try to kill him off. And not enough. A 462. And the Patton takes me down. 462, and the Patton takes me down. And off he goes. So, spot the mistake. What do you think? Put it down there. We'll talk about it in just a minute. But think about what it is that I did and why it is that I died right there. And it's interesting because this map, the critical terrain is the northwest, and this is how, I've done several how to lose this map videos, and this is basically how you lose this map. You don't invest enough up in the northwest. Your guys who all run down to the south get stagnated and sit there, the Scorpion, the Pantera, the Eagle 7. Maybe you have a couple guys like a tier 9 medium, the Skoda T50, go camp on the backside of that hill, being a sniper, thinking they're going to get shots across the one way and maybe up into the north. But the only way you get shots up in the north is if we all die up in the bowl and they push through. So a very passive spot back there. And now that they've cleared me out and owned the Northwest, it's pretty much over. But it begs the question, okay, Guido, why'd you go there? And that's an excellent question. The answer is because I usually do and because I thought I'd be able to hold it. But obviously not. They sent enough guys up there to take us down. So I say it's a mistake. What should I have done? Well, once I realized there was only 2 or 3 of us up there, a T25AT, a KB3, and myself, probably should have just fallen back and accepted the fact that we've given up that space. That's very difficult to do on this map. It would be hard for me to get away without being shot. I might have been able to get into the village here earlier and not take so many shots from different directions. We did a decent job early on of punishing the mistake of the FCM 50T, and I should have probably just accepted that and moved on. But about the time that I realized we were really getting outnumbered, and then the patent shows up, I was pretty well out of options, and the T10 and Black Prince had already pushed through, filtered through, and were starting to take us down. And it's a great example of, while it was a mistake on my part in not reacting, which clearly I should have done that earlier, it was also a huge mistake on the deployment of this team, which was just absolutely abysmal. And if you are a person who looks at that deployment and said, yeah, that seemed reasonable, I would really like to know why. Throw that down there. We can have a discussion about it. For this to work, what would have had to happen is all those guys down in the south and the dudes on the backside of the G slope right there, about G5, would have had to push hard into them. But look how many guys the enemy brought there. Usually there's enough people down there that pushing into them is bad news, but you don't necessarily have enough to overwhelm them, even if you did push into them. Really, you need to win this Northwest spot first and then deal with the guys that are down the south. And what we got was about the worst situation possible. One of our tier 9s goes up and dies, me. A couple of the helpers die. They send enough tier 9s and heavy tanks up there to deal with us. I mean, it would have been even worse if the 50T had kept his head about him and actually played the game instead of YOLOing in. We'd have died even faster up there. So spot the mistake. At the end of the day, I think pretty easy. But this one goes all the way back to the deployment. When I saw that deployment happening, probably should have bailed out of that spot and not gone there. All right, man. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And as always, we will see ya.